Hello everyone, my name is Relax and Panic and this is another reaction for My Hero Academia. You know what to do as always. To see the reaction, go down in my descriptions. There's a link, replace the circumflex dot parts with real dots and you can see my full reaction. Once you've done, feel free to come back here, hear out my thoughts about this episode, which was awesome, as I think like every episode until now. So, see you soon. For those that came back, welcome back. Well, what to say? Damn it, he's here. And I seriously don't know how you should ever be able to beat him. But let's start at the start, right? Let's start at the beginning. So we started off with a press conference, which we ended off Marnie the last time. And this interviewer who was very aggressive, I have to agree there with King Vlad, with Vlad King, that's it. This interviewer was, he was asking the questions that were pressing, yes, but it felt very one-sided. They wanted to have the teachers break, the director break. They wanted to have them admit they made mistakes, which out of the view of the press may make some sense because they want to have stories, want to sell, you know? But it felt wrong somehow. It's this, shouldn't you be on their side, at least a bit. However, Eraserhead kept his cool, and I now know that he hates the media, which is good to know. So possibly something happened in the past there. Maybe we will learn about that. And he was answering very politely, very clear, very constructive, you know. Although, admittedly, the things that the director said were very vague. He did not give clear answers. He did not point out real programs and steps. But you have to see, this is day one after. And additionally, the work of the police is still going on. And this is where I'm on the boat there. You don't give the press the answers what you're doing now. I mean, you cannot tell them, yes, we are attacking them in 5 minutes at this destination, because that would be stupid. Additionally, we learned later on from the police that the press conference was kind of staked. In the meaning of that the director had to act as though he's way more depressed and unsure what to do and stuff like that. So those answers were meant to lure in the villains that all is fine. And it worked. It really did. Because the villains were not prepared for the attack at the next day already. And admittedly, that was fast. It was fast due to good police work before. Because as the officer already said, they, during the last weeks already talked to people on the streets and got some hints. And in the end, due to the hints, they found the bar where the League of Villains is meeting all the time. And due to Momo's little spy sensor, they did find another destination, which, well, is where the Nomus went to. The one that they triggered in this case. And that, well, was something I was worried about when we went over for our little group of students, because when they arrived together with Momo, it was pretty instantly clear that this was not the bar. It was somewhere else. It was the second destination. So there seems to be a place where Nomus are created and bred in the end. I mean, there had to be a place somewhere, and this is what they found. Possibly this place will be set somewhere else now because it is known now. However, there seem to be a lot of them. From what we've seen on the first view, there might have been like a dozen, but we have only seen a small part of the building. And in the attack later on, you could see it had to be way more. And if they are as powerful as the ones we met already, if you have a dozen of them, that's nearly impossible to stop. I mean, 3 of them were a catastrophe for a city. A dozen is a disaster. That's over. However, we went into the bar to Bakugo, who, well, he is as he is. He was not giving in, which I really like. It's interesting that he stated he will not even fake being one of the villains, because he wants to be true to himself. I mean, this gives hope that he will never fall for any darkness, you know? But it's not ultimately clever. No question there, but that's the way he is. He is head through the wall all the time. So he was thinking about how to get out, what to do. There was a moment when it looked as though he, well, might have been even killed in this moment by his... I'm always forgetting his name, I'm sorry. Let's just call him Glove, you know who I mean. The League of Villains superior, apart from All for One. Because I really thought there would be something like a memory moment we have about him and his father, as was said. But no. We'll discuss this. And then there was a moment when it looked like he would strike out, and we know his quirk is simply deadly. He completely deletes people. He disintegrates people with his power. That's it. So, and Warpgate seemed to have thought that as well, because he was worried and he told him not to do it, but instead he grabbed the hand that had fallen down, the glove, and put it back onto his face. So this is what happened instead. And then he said, well, just restrain the boy again and we'll go on with our plan. Fact is that All for One is watching them. We knew that from the past, but he does now. And then we had the knock on the door and the pizza delivery came in, which was not as expected. There was a great attack, no question there. Before that, our students arrived at the second building, as I said. I really liked the fact that they were so perceptive. They checked out the surroundings. They realized there are too many people here. We can't act properly. They realized, which is something I wouldn't have possibly, that the main door wasn't used. There was grass and everything around it, so it looked as though it wasn't open for a long time, so that there has to be another entrance. So that's something they made sure of. They tried to look into the area by going the other way around and using the night scope, the night vision device, which brings a little, maybe not so majorly important thing now, but the question if Kirishima might be wealthy, because it's 50k, as I said, and he was like, yeah, that doesn't matter now. Okay, there are two things. One thing is he's friends with Kachan. We know. He really likes him. The other thing is, even then, that's a lot of money. So I see two options. Either he stole it somehow, but then, I mean, that's not something you steal easily, so I guess not. Or he really owns it, or someone in his family owns it, someone he knows. So there seems to be some wealth around him. Maybe we'll learn about that. That's the one thing. Then they looked over the wall, they saw all those Nomus, they were aware we are in trouble. And then we went for the pizza attack. So, I liked it because it was funny. Knocking on the door, saying that it's a pizza delivery, and then All Might just punching through the door. We had Kamui Woods, who was incredibly effective. That was really important. I remember, I think since we met Warpgate, talking about the fact that the League of Villains has an incredible advantage by having him on their sides. His ability to move himself and others to everywhere within some seconds. His Warpgate ability, his quirk. It's very good to see that the pro heroes and the police are aware of that. And it was the first thing they did to take him out. So Kamui Woods went for him directly at first, and then all the other heroes, other villains. And yes, you can see how effective this quirk is. You don't have to fight. If you are able to entangle your opponent, as Genist did as well with his quirk, you can take out your opponents when they are like bodily heroes who are working with fighting styles. When they are entangled, they cannot fight. So he alone took out like everyone. There were one or two who tried to fight back. Gran Torino was in there and pushed them out because he's fast like hell. And that's it. And it looked like, wow, there was a 3-second attack. If it is even, you know. Opened the wall by pushing All Might through, and then with the space you have, Kamui Wood took them out, entangled them, and Gran Torino just cared if there's one that slipped by. So, perfect plan, worked perfectly. Endeavor was outside, just in case something's happening and backup is needed, and he didn't like it. Not much of a question. So that was like, okay, that was easy. That was fast and easy. Interesting is that there seems to have been the option to bring in the Nomu even then. So they are at prepared spots, and when they are there, then Warpgate can bring them in, even when he's entangled. Now that's interesting. Question is if this is like a secondary usage of his quirk, that he can like prepare transportations, I guess. Because he was entangled, so he shouldn't have been able to warp gate them in, even if they are somewhere, you know? So there's a little change, an additional skill set of his ability, which I will look out for. And then we had, I've wrote him down, but I think I've, Edge Shot Pro Hero, which we haven't seen much before of, who has an interesting ability as well. So he can make himself paper thin. That is the one thing that was noted. But he can, by being this, go inside your body and simply like push neural nodes or whatever so that you fall unconscious. That is a incredibly powerful thing and mean and strange at the same time. I ask myself if something like him would work on, as example, All for One, on our evil overlord. In theory, yes. I guess in practice, no. We will see. So there was this attack. At the same time, they attacked the secondary place, using Mountain Lady to just stump it open. And then they just got all of the Nomus captured in this moment. We haven't seen anything of the shark hero, what his abilities are. Maybe we will. And they found Ragdoll, and Ragdoll is completely out. So she was like, how to say, in shock, I would say. And as we learned later on, her power was taken by All for One. Which will bring me to something else to discuss. We know that there then was an attack on this place before what happens in the bar. So there was a fight back in the bar, there was an attack from the Nomus, but before that the Nomus were rescued by All for One. But let's try to stick in the timeline of this episode. So I think when it comes to Glove and his father memory, I'm not sure if he's talking about his real blood father. I think he's talking about All for One. Because there was this moment when that we've seen in retrospective of him with a bit of blood in his face, sitting there and being completely done. I can only guess that maybe someone else killed his family, or maybe he did something terrible. We don't know. And then All for One appeared and was talking to him in a well, surprisingly kind and nice way. Not the best things he said, but the way he did it. So I think it might be that he is a father figure for him now. I don't think they are blood related. So maybe that's what it is about. I'm not sure if this hand is of his real father, blood related, or if it is maybe somehow the hand of All for One. It might be. I still have no clue. I hope we get more information about that. However, he was about to explode. I really thought he would do something, that his ability to disintegrate what he touches may have worked even without touching, like he could bring it out of his body. Then he would be able to burn away the wood from Kamui Woods that was entangling him. So that's what I thought would be happening. But instead we had the Nomu coming in, and they came in on the outside, attacking the police force as well. So there are a lot of them, which means they have some kind of a warping ability now, either themselves, which would be horrible, because it would mean you have like a warrior who's able to warp everywhere, and you have dozens or hundreds of them. That would be horrible. Or they have someone else who's able to do this warp gate effect. And we know someone who's able to absorb powers if he wants to. All for One can do. Question is if he's able to just copy it, or if he has to absorb it completely. If he can copy it, then he has the ability from Warpgate. That's pretty sure. It looked differently though. More grayish, you know? And it was not as fast, so they like had to climb out of it. Or he got this ability from someone else, talking about the shark as example, whose quirk is named in a way that makes me think of that he's able to multiply himself either, or to summon sharks somewhere around him. So maybe something like that this quirk was copied, stolen, however. However, All for One. So All for One comes in. There are multiple things. We know he took Ragdoll's ability now. He took her quirk. Ragdoll was able to read people, to understand how they work, what their quirks are, their strengths and their disadvantages. So if All for One has this quirk now, this is dangerous. I mean, he is already incredibly powerful. But now he would be able to use this quirk to have even more the upper hand in any fight, and give his League of Villain the upper hand in fights, because he by now should be able to, once he learned to master this quirk, read out all pro heroes what they are weak against. So it's even harder to beat him now. Additionally, he came in just talking, you know, it's a villain appearance. Really cool. I have to go with Jean-Baptiste there, with the Genist. He did the right thing. He entangled him directly. And it was the right move to do, normally. Because in such a scene where they are in a place of villains, and someone is coming out of the shadows talking about his League of Villain, the people that work for him, you know, you go on him. You don't give the Overlord the 15 seconds to act, to have his appearance and his speech. You take him out if you can. Do a first shot. So that's what he tried. And I think it would have worked, but All for One is just too powerful. There was an explosion. There was like red lightning. So, I mean, one thing is the explosion itself possibly destroyed more neither everything there. May have even taken out the pro heroes. I don't know. It for sure took out the police, I guess. Question is about the red lightning. It might be in this moment All for One absorbed the quirk of Genist as well. Just a guess. I mean, he has touch range. I don't know how this absorb works. Does he have to touch someone? Does he need more time? Does he need like minutes or an hour to talk someone and absorb it? Or is it that he just has to see you So there's this question for sure. But he, however, was able to get free of Genius, and I guess he is out for sure. We don't see anything of Mount Lady, so I guess she's out as well. And well, I'm kind of afraid that the shark is dead. Afraid because he was in without having been able to show his quirk yet. So I guess his quirk is somehow important and may have already been absorbed. However, that's what he did. He took them all out, at least it seems. Maybe we have a fight next episode, don't know. And he was able to send in the Nomus somehow, which we don't know how he does it. And our students are standing nearby and being shaken. And I know this effect, we have seen it before, this effect of terror that he evaporates, we have seen from Stain. This inner belief, this strength of someone who's just superior. The fact that your quirk and your power and what you stand for are way above normal. And there are 3 persons we know who have this. And that is All Might, that is Stain, and that is All for One now. And his evaporation, his effect is, as it seems, seeing people dying. Like, well, he breathes out the evilness and the destruction that he is. Bad one. He said himself that when he appeared that his body is different now, it is changed. I mean, we know that he was nearly beaten and kind of reconstructed. So we have seen that his face was not complete. It was more like a meshed thing. I think I saw something like a mask or with metal stripes, but I might be wrong. And we haven't seen him clearly. He has a tuxedo on, but he doesn't look very strong. If you look at the figure which is in this picture, he's more like a very slender person. While All Might is like a pro bodybuilder from outer appearance. He seems to be pretty tall, however, so I guess he's not a small one. So he might be like 2 meters or something. And by saying I'm slender, I don't mean thin slender. He's just not over muscular. He's not very muscular. So, but I might be wrong. We have just seen him in the shadows with fog around and everything. So there will be more. So what now? He came in. He was a bit upset about the fact that his protege was taken, and especially when he started to, as he says, think himself and act himself. So that worked. It was his plan to grow him to be like his successor, I guess. So he's coming in, pretty sure saving him. I am not sure if he will go in already against All Might and the others. Seeing right now what his powers are, I got to ask myself how All Might could beat him. Right now, in his form that he's now, possibly not. All Might's advantage would be speed, simply. He's very, very fast, and if he can hit him, punch him, he would possibly have a chance to beat him. I guess All Might would be in an advantage in a melee fight. He's more of the fighting type. While All for One seems to be more like the puppet master, as he worked already, and someone who uses quirks more from afar in his area, you know. So not a direct melee fighter, but that's why he created the Nomus, to have a guard that possibly keeps All Might away. So right now, I'm not sure. It doesn't look good. It looked good for in the middle of the episode. It looked like, well, that's it, we are winning. I didn't expect All for One to jump in already. I really didn't expect that. So it changes the whole game now, because he made an appearance, and so everyone will now know he's back. Those who know who he is. And the question was, what is his plan now? Where does he want to go? Does he just want to save his people and then he will leave again? Or will he make a statement apart from blasting this group of pro heroes already? I mean, if he took out Genius, he took out the number 4. with one explosion, within 1 second. How to stop someone that strong? That's a big question. I mean, it's the question of the series right now. We will see. I can't wait for the next one. I guess you do as well. And I will see you then. Until then, please feel free to comment, like, and subscribe. My name is Relax and Panic. Goodbye and out.